Okay, so again, the table, the graph, and the equation are all interrelated. In this case, we're given the table, and we need to come up with the graph and the equation. Now, there's two things I'm looking for. I'm looking for the ratio of change or slope, and I'm looking for the starting position. Okay, so I am just going to first of all just identify that I'm going to start at y equals 2. Okay, and I'm going to just graph this. So -2, +8 is right there. -1, +5. 0, 2. 1, -1. 3/7 down. Okay, they're all lining up, which indicates that there must be some constant rate in this problem. Okay, it is a linear relationship, so I'm looking for our constant rate and some starting point. Okay, well, what's the ratio of change? Well, the ratio of change then must relate to my slope. So the ratio of change, I can go from, let's go from 8 to 2. From 8 to 2, I went down 6. So my ratio of change is equal to -6. From -2 to 0, my change in x is equal to +2. Okay, so it's going down 6 plus 2, so my ratio of change, I'm going to show it like this, -6 to +2. Well, this ratio of change really is the slope, and I'm going to start calling the slope m. So slope, which I'm going to say m, is equal to the change in y over the change in x. In this case, it's going to be -6 to 2, or as a unit slope or unit rate, it's going to be -3. The number that's implied, remember slope is two parts, rise and run. So the number that's implied is always 1. So we have a rise of -3, so it goes down 3. Let's just make sure that actually works. Down 3 plus 1. Yeah, that gives me my ratio of change. That gives me my slope triangle. So what is the y-intercept of this? The y-intercept is going to be where it crosses the y-axis, or it's going to be the starting point. So it's going to be where y equals 2. And that represents the starting point, or my y-intercept, and that relates to that. So then now I need to come up with the equation of a line. So remember that the table, graph, and equation are all interconnected. So how do I come up with the equation of a line? Well, there's two things I need to show: starting point and slope. So when I come up with the equation line, y equals my starting position plus my ratio of change is going to tell me how I'm going to grow. Okay, so it's going to grow, or going to go down actually, -3 for every x. Okay, so I can rewrite this as y equals -3x plus 2. So why does the y-intercept show up in this equation? Okay, so the y-intercept of +2 shows up in the equation because when we substitute 0, so y-intercept is when x is 0. So when we plug in, so when we substitute x is equals 0 into the equation, okay, it is connected to the multiplier. So I'm going to write that a little bit more clearly, equation. So since x is connected to the multiplier, we're multiplying by 0. So we end up with multiplying by 0 and we're left with the constant. that represents the y-intercept. Okay, so that's why that y-intercept shows up in that equation.